So I'm recording this one as another read in progress, kind of mid book update, just like I did with Sarah Bernstein's Study for Obedience. This time, I'm talking about Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard. And I am not exaggerating when I say this might be the most excited I've ever been about the beginning of a book, about starting a book. I think so. I got recommended this book by a friend of mine in a letter. We correspond back and forth about a project I'm currently working on, poetry project, and she recommended reading this book as a expansion on the topic that I'm writing about. And I'd never heard of Annie Dillard. I didn't even know when I went to the bookstore to find it. I didn't even realize it was nonfiction. I was looking in the fiction section for it, but it is Annie Dillard is a very famous, it seems. She's won a Pulitzer Prize nature writer. So this is all nonfiction, which is a little rare for me, to be honest. I don't read besides like philosophy, and a lot of that I read when I was much younger. I don't really read a ton of nonfiction. I don't love biographies. I don't love self-help. So yeah, it's a rarity for me to read anything nonfiction, and if I do, it's normally like essays. So this is kind of a new genre for me. But I am convinced I'm only 40 pages in here. But I had to make this video already because Annie Dillard might be the best line-to-line writer I've read in a really long time, maybe ever, especially nonfiction. I almost can't believe how beautiful some of these passages are from just a pure poetics standpoint. Poetics being like the way something is told, the form of it. Each sentence is crafted with the same care and attention as a poem. And the book is long. The book is really long. It is, about 300 pages. And I'm telling you, every sentence is beautiful. It accounts for sonics, the way words sound next to each other. It takes into account consonants and assonants, a few hard C's back to back, a few internal rhymes. It just reads beautifully. I'm going to read, I think, the opening section of this book, which is, I think, 3 paragraphs. I'm going to read it out loud because I could not believe it. I literally called two people to read them the opening passage. That's how good I thought it was. As soon as I read it, I immediately made calls so other people could know about it. The first section is called Heaven and Earth in Jest. And it is, I'm about to read to you 2 paragraphs. That's it. But it is so beautifully constructed. Okay, here it is. This is the start of Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard. I used to have a cat, an old fighting Tom, who would jump through the open window by my bed in the middle of the night and land on my chest. I'd half awaken. He'd stick his skull under my nose and purr, stinking of urine and blood. Some nights he kneaded my bare chest with his front paws, powerfully, arching his back as if sharpening his claws or pummeling a mother for milk. And some mornings I'd wake in daylight to find my body covered in paw prints and blood. I looked as though I'd been painted with roses. It was hot, so hot the mirror felt warm. I washed before the mirror in a daze. My twisted summer sleep still hung about me like sea kelp. What blood was this, and what roses? It could have been the rose of union, the blood of murder, or the rose of beauty bare, and the blood of some unspeakable sacrifice or birth. The sign on my body could have been an emblem or a stain, the keys to the kingdom or the mark of Cain. I never knew. I never knew as I washed and the blood streaked, faded, and finally disappeared, whether I'd purified myself or ruined the blood sign of the Passover. We wake, if we ever wake at all, to mystery, rumors of death, beauty, violence. Seem like we're just set down here, a woman said to me recently, and don't nobody know why. I mean, maybe this is unbelievable. This is actually just one of the most beautiful and beautifully constructed passages I've ever read in my life. I am somebody for who the most important thing in a book and the hallmark of whether or not I'm going to like it or love it, the thing I'm always looking for is style. I don't care very much about plot. I don't care very much about ideas. I care very, very much about writing style. I will literally read anything if the author has a certain a certain way they write, or a certain voice they use, or a certain structure they employ. That's the most important thing to me. It's why I don't read a lot of crime novels or a lot of genre fiction. This isn't to say that there aren't unique voices in those genres. It's just that they tend to be a little more plot-driven, where the plot is at the forefront and the mystery of the thing is driving everything forward. And the thing that's driving me through this book and making me so excited is just the way she's crafting her sentences. When I say they're crafted like a poem, here's what I mean. There is so much internal rhyme and just almost purely poetic techniques that exist in this sentence or in this section alone. I'm going to read just a couple of sentences now instead of just the whole paragraph together, just to illustrate what I mean. Listen to the way that this line, all that it has going for it, all that this one line is doing. The sign on my body could have been an emblem or a stain, the keys to the kingdom or the mark of Cain. That already, the way that sentence is structured, it has a meter to it, right? Like the sign on my body could have been an emblem or a stain, the keys to the kingdom or the mark of Cain. That's crazy. Read out loud, that sounds perfect. Syllable for syllable, it is so wonderful. And then obviously we're rhyming stain and Cain. But then in the second half of the sentence, the keys to the kingdom or the mark of Cain, we have so much consonants going on. Keys, kingdom, mark, Cain. And that has that kind of, it emphasizes that how good it sounds when read aloud. Mark of Cain, keys to the kingdom. And then in the first half of that sentence, the sign on my body could have been an emblem or a stain. So that sign and stain, right? The S at the beginning of the sentence, the S at the end, the B in body and the B in emblem. All of these things are speaking to one another that make these lines read so, so beautifully. And there's another, there is another section. Yeah, the repetition. Because this is, in poetry, when you use a line throughout, right? There's a lot of repetition in poetry, and we call that a refrain, right? A refrain line is a line you go back to over and over again. A good example of this might be like Having a Coke with You by Frank O'Hara, where you just are reusing a certain touchstone line. And she does this here, where immediately following the sign on my body could have been an emblem or a stain, the keys to the kingdom or the mark of Cain. I never knew as I washed and the blood streaked, faded, and finally disappeared, whether I'd purified myself or ruined the blood sign of the Passover. I never knew as I washed. That kind of technique, that repetition technique, does so much work, both in the way it helps you read the sentence, the emphasis being on this not knowing, which kind of has this connotation of wonder, right? Like a wonder at the beauty of this scene happening, and the willingness to not have to know, right? Not have to know exactly what the truth is for the truths to still be beautiful. And that's what I think makes Annie Dillard so special, is that you can read this whole paragraph without that kind of close of a reading, right? You don't have to pick apart every sentence, but to appreciate it. Like, it's still good even if you're not paying that close attention. In my letter back to my friend, I described it as like the most well-crafted sentences that don't insist on their perfection. So when you read them, it's non-obvious, at least to me, how much care and time went into the construction of each sentence, right? It just reads like a good nature writing. So even if you're not someone who reads or cares about style at the forefront, the book is still really, really good, because the ideas she's talking about are all really, really good. This book has inspired me so much. I'm like reading it, I love it, and I'm reading it so slowly. I've read for a couple hours and I'm on page maybe 40. And the reason for this is that this book is so amazing to me that I now have a journal to save words that I really like that she uses. Some of them are a little nature specific. And so I've got basically a vocab journal. I've got an entire journal that I've started just for really beautiful passages she'll just have like a turn of phrase or a sentence that I just don't ever want to forget. Like here's one. Form is condemned to an eternal dance macabre with meaning. I couldn't unpeach the peaches. What is that? I couldn't unpeach the peaches? It's beautiful. The form of the word is attached to the meaning of the word. You can't uncouple them. I couldn't unpeach the peaches. That's insane. And then I also have these note cards going where I'll be reading her work and feel so inspired for her work, or by her work, that I'll get an idea for a poem that I'd like to write maybe. And so I write it on these note cards and I pin them up on a board, and whenever I go to write poetry, I'll pull down the note cards and look at the lines. So yeah, it's a book so good. I have 3 journals that I've started just because I'm reading it, not to mention all of the annotations I make in the book. I can't believe it. I honestly have never been this excited by a writer, maybe ever, at least in recent memory. Like, I've really loved stuff I've read this year. I really loved Dennis Johnson. I really loved Bridget Reinman, the person who wrote Siblings. I've loved the book Chess one of my first video ever. I've loved a lot of stuff this year, but I'm like in love with this book. Obviously, we'll see, when I finish it, what I think by the end, but I am convinced Annie Dillard is going to be one of my favorite writers of all time. Yeah, I find it remarkably compelling. I've read some of her passages to other people, and it didn't quite land maybe in the same way that it landed to me. So I might just be going insane, and this might apply to absolutely no one but myself. But if you like nature writing, if you like nonfiction, if you like beautiful prose, Annie Dillard is a must read. I'm only 40 pages in, so don't hold it against me if the book somehow turns terrible. I don't think that it will, but right now it is the best thing I've read this year easily, and I'm only 40 pages in. I'm so excited by it. I'm so thrilled about it. I just had to get on here and talk about it and ramble about it. And there's it makes sense why this is such an insanely long video. I just can't, I don't know. I keep saying the same thing. I just can't believe how good it is. If any of you have read it, let me know what you think about it. And if any of you do read it, also let me know what you think about it, because I need to talk about this book. I need to. And thank you for indulging me in that.